Okay. Hey, everybody.
Hey, all right, we got people jumping in.
Yeah, I'm gonna pin
See,
you in.
we got a mentor here. We got Christina Blue here,
Yeah,
Andrea, Winnie.
yeah.
Uh, of course, we also get people's Fathom and other recording. Don't worry, everyone. This is video recorded. So we'll just give everyone a minute or two here
Yeah.
as stuff kind of gets going.
As folks are coming in, if you want to share a little bit about what you're working on, maybe just a few sentences that can give Brandon an idea of the kinds of projects people are doing, or if you're a mentor, what your work is like, just some little brief intros in the chat. That'll be great to hear as people are coming in.
Don't all jump up at once now. This is like the classic Zoom problem that you can't like make direct eye contact to somebody where they feel awkward enough that they have to reply.
Yeah, throw it in the chat too. I mean, who
Yeah,
you
you can
are,
throw
where
them in the
you
chat.
are, what you're working on. Make it a super calm and casual session today. Really excited to be here this Friday, though.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brandon.
Oh, did you want it? You want us to speak or did you want it just in
Yeah,
chat?
go for it. And is it Andrea or Andrea?
Andrea.
Andrea, tell us what you're working on.
So I'm doing computer vision for recycling sorting. So I want to apply, I think I'm going to apply like a ResNet and a YOLO model to be able, because I really want to do object detection, which is why I want to do the
Hmm.
YOLO part of it. Um, to apply that. And yes, I did want part of this to be me leveraging AI to make this happen, but to gain that skill set. So I'm envisioning um kind of I found like a high level overview paper. So I'm trying to go off and figure out like which models I want to go use. And I was imagining that I would use AI to help me craft some of the me working on the model, me maybe going through the training and whatnot, um, helping me leverage that so that I can, get through that phase faster. Use it to, but trying to utilize it to learn while I'm doing it. I just don't want to like cognitively offload to it. I want to like, question it and learn while I'm doing it type of thing. Um, well, yeah, at a high
Awesome.
level, that's what I'm doing.
Very cool. Well, that's a good way to kick us off. And thank you for that. That is an extremely cool project. I'm looking forward to seeing how it develops. So, just to give everyone context, is the first portion is we've been super fortunate to have a number of great corporate partners and sponsors who have stepped up to help you all. And one of those is Replit. And Brandon from Replit was kind enough to say, hey, what I see very often is people need an example of actually how to use these platforms, how to do this stuff. He's actually taught Shaq how to vibe code and many, many, many others on this. And so, what I'm excited about from him, and personally, I am here, and you're going to see me jump off the screen in a minute, but what I'm excited most about is there is so much to empower in using the tools, and Brandon gets to go around talking to people, primarily in like the groups of students out here, like squarely targeted at you, mentors who are trying to help. All of this. So he's like, you couldn't ask for literally a better person to take us on the journey of how to actually use some of these tools with AI specifically to help augment your projects or actually build your entire project inside Replit. And that's why they've also been so incredibly kind to give everyone that year's worth of at that base tier of the product. So Brandon, I'm going to hand it over to you, and Kathy is going to be our moderator, but you all should be asking questions, because this is your chance to get it all in. And I'm going to jump off to the other, just be a spectator.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it, DJ, and thank you so much for inviting me to be here. It's a pleasure to join you from Foster City, California. I was actually born and raised in Chicago, but I've been in the Bay Area now for about 21 years. So you can see the grays. I am that old. I am a father of three kids. I've got a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So this work that I do as the head of education at Replit is not just a job for me. It's actually something that I feel is like moment by moment and brick by brick, kind of laying the foundation for the future of learning that my own children will walk into. So it's been quite a ride over the last 20 years, and I've worked at places like Cisco Systems, like the networking company, to start off my career. I was a software engineer there. About 9 years into that journey, I went to business school at UC Berkeley and switched out of being an engineer over to being uh, go-to-market sales, kind of partnerships professional. So I did that for about a decade as well across companies like Microsoft, and I did some management consulting at a firm called Slalom. And then prior to joining Replit, I did about 6 years at Amazon Web Services. So pretty heavy into the cloud computing companies. I've worn many of the tech jerseys and been here for quite a few shifts. Like we saw the iPhone come out and the mobile craze. We saw, cloud computing as a concept take off. And now we're squarely in this phase of AI and generative AI. And it's really fascinating to kind of take all of the technology that's at our fingertips and forward project what the future might look like. But it's really actually a difficult thing to do unless you've got somebody showing you. So this session, I'd love for you all to go into the chat and ask me questions. I'll try my best to screen share and come out and screen share and come out in order to capture all of the questions that you all have. But if I could start and just ask you, like, what schools are represented, whether you're graduated from school or not. If you're on this call, go into the chat and let me know what school you are going to or what school you went to, just to kick us off here. And I'll start to screen share. I see Georgia Tech coming in there. I'll throw in my alma mater as well. UIUC, see UW in Seattle. Excellent. Rochester, RIT, in New York. Beautiful. University of Michigan. I can't say go and blue in the same sentence being from University of Illinois, but I respect you, Kathy. And we got McGill University. Thank you. All right, so let me screen share here and let's see if you guys can see my screen. Could somebody just come off of mute and say, yes, we can see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So as DJ mentioned, right, last December, I actually got to teach Shaquille O'Neal how to vibe code with our founder, Amjad. At this point, I was actually just consulting with Replit and doing a bit of like helping them form an education strategy. And then at the end of this segment, Amjad texted me and said, "Hey, can you actually consider like leading this work since you've been teaching at the Stanford Design School for the last 7 or 8 years? You're kind of the perfect person who's got the big tech background and the vision for where we should be going with our platform." So this is probably the high point of my Q4 last year, teaching the big fella how to actually vibe code. And what we actually did was we went on to the actual replit.com website. So anybody can sign up and use a Gmail account or an email in order to get a free account. And you'll end up landing on something just like this. So our Replit workspace is a very familiar interface so that you can start to prompt whatever you want to prompt into the box. We've got these what we call artifacts here. So if you know from the very beginning that you are aiming to make a website or that you're aiming to make a video animation, for example, you could actually just append that to your prompt. And after you ask it to go ahead and make it, it'll point its kind of energy towards creating the artifact type that you ask for. So you can make mobile apps, you can do data visualizations, you can make games, you can do spreadsheets. So anything that you can think of, any idea that you've got, whether you know how to code or not, you can actually express this in the actual format of a Replit application that'll be hosted with its own URL for you. So as an example of something that, I recently had to do, I made a slide deck for a researcher named Andrew Ng. He had a conference here in San Francisco, and I had to make a presentation for him about how I thought the American dream was worth revisiting because all of the stuff that you are told to do growing up are supposed to lead to like really good job opportunities and doing better than your parents in school. So I actually built a slide deck that, introduced myself, sitting on a stage with about 700 or 800 people, and we started to talk about how AI was starting to eat into some of the promises of the American dream for students that are at the same age and doing some of the same things as you all are doing right now. And the difference between a decade ago and now is that the computer scientists and the engineers used to have the skill of understanding kind of computer programming and being able to turn that knowledge into beautiful software. Whereas as today, if you understand well how to go onto, Replit or a lot of these agentic AI platforms, you can essentially build some of the same experiences using English. So we say, just like the researcher Andre Karpathy, that English is actually the hottest programming language that's out there right now, or Spanish, or any language that you speak. We've started to abstract away the need for you to know how to actually program. And it's no longer a barrier for people to actually be able to create things that are in their mind's eye to create. One caveat is that subject matter expertise is still required. If you want to cure cancer, if you want to discover new galaxies, if you want to push forward actual science and research, doing these kinds of vibe coding or just speaking English and making things, you won't get to an actual real solution without subject matter expertise. So I really do encourage you to keep going with your passion, keep exploring the things that you are really, really excited about. And as the AI models get better, you'll be able to steer them and inform the solutions in a much better way than somebody who doesn't have that subject matter expertise. So the TLDR on this one is, using English without judgment and good taste and intuition is actually just a long form way to be wrong. You'll spend a lot of money, you'll waste a lot of effort and energy if you decouple kind of the AI technology of today with the actual subject matter expertise. So I'll throw this link into the actual chat here just so that people have it. And let me actually go and uh, check for questions quickly here. All right, here's that link to the presentation. Let's see, what models are behind this tool, and are they models that Replit has made? This one is coming in from Andrea. And thank you for that question. So when I go into Replit, yes, the actual models themselves that underlie this experience with Replit, we've got Google DeepMind models that underlie what we build at Replit. We've got OpenAI models, and we've got Anthropic models in addition to some of our own that we bake in so that if somebody wanted to quickly, make a slide deck or make an application. When I made this slide deck, um, I'm pretty sure that Google DeepMind models and Google Nano Banana models were actually used to put together some of the graphics. There are certain websites that I've created that literally have custom artwork. Let me go here and just show like past projects, for example. So if I go to all of the different uh, projects that I've done recently. It'll pull up this New York Knicks one. I was in New York City last week, and the Knicks were going crazy, and the fans were having just a really good time. So these photos or these images, as I was creating this site, were actually custom built and custom created. The idea for this one is to basically create like an actual timeline of very interesting New York Knicks comebacks throughout history and to try to capture some of the energy that I saw from that 29-point comeback win that they had in game number 5, I think it was. So whenever you are kind of creating a Replit app, all of this that you see as a finished product is actually a combination of files. And if we wanted to actually get nerdy and see the files, whenever a Replit project spins up, it's creating these artifacts, these actual files that are sometimes JSON, that are sometimes TypeScript, that are sometimes CSS and HTML. And if you actually had um, the technical capability to want to tweak any of these YAML files or these JSON files, you could actually do this from within the Replit website itself. Many people use or choose to leave this file tree kind of untouched and unbothered, and that's for good reason. Like some people don't think that you need to understand the code or like mess with the code that much when you can on the left side of this screen go over and actually tweak what you want just using English language. But for all of the technical people and folks who really want to lift the hood underneath what's happening, you can use this file tree in order to do that. So I'll abstract this and make this a bit bigger. And let me just give you a walkthrough of the actual Replit platform in the context of this app. And while I'm doing this, if you have a prompt or you have something that you would want me to build, feel free to go into the chat and say like the prompt, and I'll pick one out and we'll live build something together in a couple of minutes here. But just to take you on a little bit of a journey of how you actually build something. Replit, the workspace is created with a number of these tabs. So if I press the plus button, there's tools, there's a debugger, there's a developer tab, and all of these tabs essentially help us to see in the preview like what's happening, what our site looks like as it's being built. Once we like where we're at, we can take the development version of this site and actually publish it so that it's live. So I've done this, I believe, 14 days ago. So if I copied this URL and put it into the chat here, you all should be able to go to nix-comeback-chronicle.replit.app and actually see like the latest version of this website here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into the chat. And if you click onto this website and you can actually see it, I want you to put a one into the chat just to verify that you can actually see that. And I'll keep going for a couple seconds here in the actual demo. When you publish something, it lives on Replit's infrastructure. So there's no like hosting that you have to do. There's no extra work that you've got to do to connect it to an actual database or any kind of storage or anything like that. We've got all of the tools that you need in order to actually build an application like start to finish without having to do anything extra. We've got integrations that we're able um, to integrate with here. Let me move this here. Plus sign, tools. Got domains here. If you own your own domain, you can actually tie, whatever .com or .ai you've got into this experience so that the replit.app final part of the URL is something that you want to replace with your own, maybe more personalized website. There's the opportunity and ability for you to do that as well. If you've got apps that you use a whole lot in terms of Dropbox or Google Drive or I mean, there's so many Slack, GitLab, Asana, like all of these integrations are available for you to log into and then actually connect in this actual Replit experience so that if you wanted to build a personal to-do list that's tied to your Gmail, you could do that. If you wanted to build a corporate, Notion tracker for your team, you could totally do that. And you would basically go into Replit over here on the left side and just talk to the actual um, agent and then use the slash command to type in um, all of the different connectors that you would want to connect into the app. So that's a really cool feature of Replit. Let me show you before I pop back into the chat, the economy mode and the power mode and the light mode. So you're defaulted into this middle mode called economy, which is like a good mix of reasoning and price performance so that you're not burning through a whole lot of money as you're doing your building and your thinking. If you move this to light mode, this is like the cheapest way to do stuff like, oh, can you change the color of my New York Knicks app from blue to orange, for example. So if I select this one and then I come out of it and say, hey, can you change the color of my home page from blue to light orange? And then I press go on that, then I should be able to go to my preview, and it's going to, as you see, the agent is going to start to do work. And instead of the blue color that we saw, we're getting a bit of orange. It's still working. So it's going back and forth, back and forth. And when it's finished, you'll actually see, like here, the previous thing that I said, it worked for 3 minutes and it cost me 30 cents to do, and it changed 72 lines of code. So you get good analytics and like what's happening like as this is building. We're trying to explain to non-developer types exactly what the agent is doing and accomplishing for you. And if ever you don't like the final output of what you see, you can always go back to what's called a checkpoint. You just click checkpoint and you can actually roll back to the previous version so that you can go back to the version of the code or the version of the site or the version of the data visualization that you like the best. So that's a quick example of something that we can do really, really easily inside of light mode. If we go all the way up to power mode, for example, to my reference about curing cancer and doing like very reasoning heavy type of work, power mode is going to be the most expensive way to build and to use Replit. But some of the things that we're endeavoring to do in research is going to require like the best models and the highest powered, highest throughput and highest reasoning possible. So that's just a consideration for you all. You can use any of these three modes. I typically am using economy mode for most of my work. Sometimes light to do the cosmetic changes, and then power mode sometimes if the thing that I'm building requires a lot of thought. All right. So this is again after we push that change. This is what it looks like in the developer environment, and I would have to actually go and republish this thing in order for that to hit the actual URL that I shared in the chat with you all. So you'll see that it'll go through a provisioning, a security scan, a building, and then a promotion so that this nix-comeback-chronicle.replit.app, when you click that from the chat now on your phones or your mobile devices or your laptops, you should be able to see that orange color in the background after this finishes promoting. All right, so I'll stop there and check the chat once more to see if there's other questions that I can pop through. So I see one from Dan here. How long do you have to debug a Replit chat to have a good presentation? A lot of people see some colors and are saying this is made with AI. Pass. Yeah, that's a great comment. If I jump out to, let's say, another slide deck, for example, that I was building out to introduce like my EDU team in another presentation, I literally grabbed these headshots from LinkedIn from my different colleagues here. The actual, if I drag this over a bit, I can go into the main version of my app and scroll all the way up, and you see me grabbing screenshots of different things that I want to be included into this presentation so that it looks and feels the way that I want it to look and feel. This presentation was a webinar that I did for our Faculty Fellows program, which is a collection of researchers and folks in universities and colleges who are interested in using Replit in order to transform the way that they teach their classes or advance their actual research. So as I scroll, you can see that I'm big on taking screenshots and telling the Replit agent here, basically, I want you to use these as reference and move them around so that the spacing looks good, so that the styling looks good, so that the typography that I want and I think speaks well to my audience looks good. So, to that question, you literally can basically talk to the agent in English. And sometimes if you have design language or you have like the language of an actual person that works within brand or within marketing, the agent understands that. And if you're at a spot where you're not ready yet to start to build, there is this last mode called plan mode, which if you click here, you can ask, questions about the current design. What can I do to make this deck resonate better with leaders of colleges, e.g., chancellors, provosts, presidents, etc. And when I'm in plan mode, I'm not using Replit to build out any software. I'm just using it as a tutor or as somebody who is basically helping me think through the challenge or the problem or the issue that I have. So that's a cool thing where Replit can be the thing to actually build out the software and build out the artifact that you want, but it can also be the thing to help you get unstuck or to help you continue to ideate and to figure out where your project should go next if the example of what good looks like isn't like part of kind of what you're thinking about at the present moment. So it's going to crank and think through how chancellors and provosts and presidents might resonate better, and it's going to make some recommendations about what I can be doing. One thing before I grab the next question is this idea of a task. So we're in right now the main version of this presentation in this deck. But if I wanted to go on a side quest and do something, ideate on an idea that wasn't necessarily part of the main piece of software, I can say, can we um, generate 3 more design ideas to help change the color scheme of my current deck. And I'm going to take this and ask it to go on a bit of a side quest, which is a new feature that we call tasks. And you can look at all of the tasks. I have colleagues who have 5, 6, 7 tasks that are going from draft stage to active. You can actually promote these in like a Kanban board fashion to ready. And when they're ready to be implemented and integrated into the main version of your artifact, whether that be a slide deck or a website or data visualization, then you would promote from like the ready column um, into the main branch essentially, and it would be marked as done once the integration was finished. So this is just a way to generate and ideate yourself or maybe ideate with other people in a way that helps you kind of consider all the design choices, all the colors, all the typography before you land on the one that you want. And to that point about building alone versus building with other people, in the same way that you can build, a Gmail or like a Google Docs document, for example, you've got the ability to actually invite other collaborators into these projects. So into this uh, deck into a website, you can simply add an email address. And with the accounts that each of you guys are getting, you could invite up to 5 people into these projects, such that the prompting and the typing that we're doing here myself would appear as all the people who are doing the prompting and the typing. So you can co-build software together using this invite button if you wanted to invite your colleagues to these projects. The person that does the inviting is the person's account that is getting kind of the Replit credits kind of deducted from. So be careful as you are giving access to your workspace to other people. Be cognizant of those people essentially burning down your Replit credits if you invite them into your workspace. All right. So let me take another couple of questions before we pivot maybe to the next couple of things. All right, let's see. Getting ones for people who are able to see the different colors for the next thing. Awesome. Andrea asked another question. can I put data out here and have it write Python code to interact with the data? Yes, you can absolutely do that. And to pair that with Dan's next question, how important is it to have a first prompt with a lot of details? That's a great question as well. So let me pop open another Replit, um, Replit project or like blank page, right? We've got the ability to just freestyle, kind of prompt what we want. There's also the ability to use design systems. So if you have a color scheme or if you have something that you're trying to make a Replit app very similar to, then you can use this design system. We have these concepts called skills, which are basically large markdown files, which describe to the Replit agent exactly how you want your prompt to be interpreted, in what context, essentially. So these skills, you can write a prompt that is in the context of an ad creative or a sales development rep or a content marketer, a recruiter. So you can feel free to play around with these skills. Let's do stock analyzer, for example. Somebody throw a stock into the chat. Let's see if we can freestyle just a stock analyzer skill. I'll take the first one that comes into the chat, and I'll say, can we do some analysis on the Apple stock? I see they just raised prices on their devices. I am, let's say, uh, I am what's happening? I am a financial analyst and I cover big tech. I'll need to make projections monthly about the movement of this stock. So, in the context of being a stock analyzer as a skill, and then let's say I want to build a website around this, I'm going to go ahead and press go here. And then you'll see the agent start to think. It takes our prompt and it basically is going to, in the background, create a plan for how to take this English that I just put into the prompt box and translate it into the artifact that I asked for, which is a website. And then with the context of a stock analyzer that I pulled from like the default skills library. So this always takes a few minutes or so to actually cook. And I have multiple of these things usually running in parallel, but it'll go from, you know, the first screen that we saw to now this kind of this workspace screen where it's putting the chat on the left side. And then when it's ready, you'll see the preview actually populate the visuals for what it's going to look like that we'll be able to tweak or leave like it is if we like the design and the typography and the layout of everything. Under the covers, looks like I'll write the open API spec. So it's giving you a sense of exactly what actions it's taking in order to fulfill your requests. So if you wanted to actually learn along while it was building and analyze the plan that it made in order to fulfill your request, you can also do that too. All right. So while this is building, let me take another couple of questions out of the chat here. Hopefully this is answering folks' questions. Let's go back up. Um, so this is to Dan's question. How important it is it to have a prompt with a lot of detail in the first one? I find that you've probably seen these mega prompts that are like paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs long. I think the problem with that approach, from my perspective, is that unless you know what good looks like and you know that that prompt is going to get you exactly there, sometimes models will overbuild things that you'll have to like take out or they'll miss the mark. And those huge mountains of prompts usually set these models off on doing a lot of work that might end up costing you tokens, which translates into like you burning down your credits or using your own cash. So my style of prompting is actually a little bit more back and forth, instead of giving it a whole wall of text and then walking away for an hour or two and then coming back to like the final finished thing. So that iterative process is something that is more my style and what I've seen to be a little bit more cost efficient. All right. So while this is building a bit, I did want to touch on a couple more pieces of the slide deck that I put together, and go to what I thought. Well, I'll stay here on this slide, which is the work that I'm doing on the education team is trying to bridge the gap between um, kind of politicians and policymakers and people who need to make money and funds available for us to be like an AI first, AI enabled country. Whether you be a student citizen or whether you be, just a regular person that's an adult working and trying to contribute to the economy, it's a pretty like bipartisan issue, AI literacy. So no one will try to knock you off your square for trying to promote this. And this is part of my work as head of education, trying to encourage higher ed as well as folks on Capitol Hill and Washington, D.C., that we should make these kinds of programs really, really easy for students to latch on to. Um, there's zero like longitudinal studies about how to do AI literacy correctly. So to take it from the realm of the theoretical and pull it into like the actual practical and tactical things, this is all experimental. So the work that I'm doing with my team at Replit is trying to maybe be the first team to, from a cross industry, cross university perspective, pull examples of what good looks like, and make them available for folks to model and pattern themselves after. And once we get there, we'll be able to close the divide, because there's a lot of experimentation at the student levels happening with these new AI tools. There's a lot of hesitancy and uncertainty at the faculty and like the teacher and administrator level. There are issues around risk and data privacy and security breaches and like, is it cheating? Is it not cheating? That are being talked about right now. But closing this gap is part of my remit and my job. Trying to equate, Replit and AI literacy and moving in more self-confidence for students and faculty to be equal to job readiness and the future of work skills that our economy is going to require. And then here's four things that I think each of you, every student, every faculty member should consider upon, embarking on this journey. And then as you leave, I think these are the four things that you should be able to do. Number one, moving from a vague problem to an actual working prototype in less than a day. So like what we're cooking up and what we're doing with our stock analysis or with our ability to translate our English prompt into an actual solution is something that should take just 24 hours or less, actually, as you get better and better at this. The second skill is being able to evaluate like code or evaluate product that you yourself didn't write the actual computer programming for, and having the intuition and the taste and the subject matter expertise to give you a good sense of whether it's good to ship to end users or whether it needs a little bit more refinement before you send it out and try to acquire customers or you try to do the next step. The next thing, number three, is translating non-technical problems into something that can be systematized. So think about like building something that could literally be useful to other people while you're sleeping, or while you're sleeping, you're able to make money off of a business idea. This requires basically systems thinking and not, designing out the human need to be there every single second of every single day that your system is going to be running. So moving from, the old paradigm of thinking to more systems thinking is another really, really important skill. And then extreme ownership. The number four thing here is you used to have to call an IT person or an engineer in order to fulfill some of the dreams that you had. But I think the students of today moving forward need to be able to be comfortable saying, hey, I had this idea and I built it end to end all by myself using a platform like Replit, for example. We are working hard on our side to make it so that the platform can assist and give you everything that you need to go from start to finish so that you've got a mobile app in the App Store, so that you've got a polished presentation and a pitch deck ready to ask VCs or investors for funding. We're doing that work on our side so that more and more people can take ownership and say, I did this myself end to end. Here's my portfolio of built products, as opposed to a resume, for example, where this paper is trying to explain things that I've done, but it's much better to have the portfolio to actually show rather than to just tell. All right, so let me pause there. This is a little bit of our faculty fellows network from different universities around the United States and North America. We're aiming to go to 200 schools and have 200 people by the end of the year. And each of these faces are people who have raised their hand to say, yes, I want to build custom software for my class, or I want to use Replit to be able to push forward my research. And I'll provide links to some of their work after the session closes here. All right, let me go back to questions and see if there's any other stuff here. I've got Genevieve saying something that maps our program's approach to build the smallest version of your product first and then expand upon that V1. Yeah, that's important. Like every product doesn't have to be fully built in order to be experimented with. This concept of the MVP, or minimum viable product. What's the minimum piece of software that you need in order to show to someone so that you can get feedback and iterate on it in the direction that the market or your end users want, is a pretty important concept. And then Fanny with the question, to build on Andrea's question, how does the free plan structure work in practice? And roughly how far can we get building in Replit before we start running low on credits? Great questions. Let me go into our pricing page, which is just replit.com/pricing. And each of you all, can start with a free account here. And what I've gifted you all with is the ability to go from starter free up to this core capability for 1 year. So you'll get $20 in credits a month and the ability to invite up to 5 collaborators into your workspaces. You'll get all of this every month for the next 12 months for $0. So if you add it all up, it's about 216 bucks or something for the year. And if you were to go over to our actual like application that's being built, you can see that these actions, all of these things are happening under the covers. And once this is finished, this is going to give us a sense of how much it actually costed to do it, right? So in our New York Knicks example, where we just worked 1 minute to actually change the color of our site from blue to orange, right? It costs like 30 cents to do. So you'll get uh, $20 worth of credit to be able to build out, different website ideas, different types of mobile apps or data visualizations. And once you hit that $20 mark, if you need extra credits, feel free to ping the team. I'll see what I could do in order to one-off throw you guys credits as you continue to build. I'd love for you all to be able to have maybe one of your creations featured in our Replit gallery. So if you go replit.com/gallery, if you need inspo for different kinds of projects that you might want to work on or things that you might want to do, we've got many examples of things that people have put together. I focus on education, right? So if you wanted to uh, take a look here and do something that was, for EDU, for example, we've got solar system visualizations. We've got Ripple IQ. I haven't popped into that one. This one looks like a leadership coach to help you maybe navigate the weirdness of being a student trying to find a job right now. So all kinds of ideas that can be monetized. Some of them are just good for free use and trying to get users. But yeah, your Replit $20 in credits will burn down over time as you kind of use the platform. And if you need more, feel free to reach out and we'll see if we can make bundles of credits available for you guys. All right. Let me pop back into the chat. Can you give us a more complex Replit project? Yeah. So there's some longer live builds. If I go to youtube.com and go Replit, for example, and this is kind of an investment in time, but if you were to go over to the Replit homepage and you were to click here and go to our live streams, we've got these 2 hour live streams where we are sometimes building out like full applications, like in public. And this guy, Rymar, the third guy on this slide here, is the guy who's typically like in charge of our community builds. And if you wanted to like really see a long form way of building out like a mobile app, for example, and getting it approved and into the App Store, or building out like the most beautiful deck that you've ever seen, you can do a 2 hour live stream. If you wanted to go the short form way of like building something cool, there's an actual live stream that we did yesterday here, which has like our uh, like Sarah, for example, who's a person on this video. She's part of our developer relations team. And on this video, she walks through like how she rebuilt like her old school like iPod app and connected it to her Spotify using the integrations and the connectors that I talked to you guys about earlier. So she and a few other people built out, this is her constellation idea where she allows people to actually make a mark and then put their mark into this galaxy, and each mark is tied to a dream that you've got for the future. So if you check out this link here, I'll put this into the chat as well. This will give you some good inspo and some ideas around the kinds of things that you can build. And some of these things took quite a bit of time to actually like concept and walk through. But yeah, hopefully you have fun and get some inspo from these videos and create some other stuff that's a pretty cool first or second or third project for you guys. Put Sarah Lee video for student stream here. All right. I'll throw that into the chat for you guys. I will say that to really get expert on some of these ideas is going to take some time and some practice, right? Getting Replit to do the things that you want it to do, getting Replit to understand the way that you think or the way that you communicate is going to sometimes take practice. There's no compression algorithm for just the experience and the time that you put into the platform. But just in a couple of minutes, right, you can take that idea about following and tracking a stock. We wanted to create something off of this visual that we've been given. It's built out fundamentals, right? Revenue, net income, things that a financial analyst that I talked about might want to know and communicate if their job was to track big tech, some of the technicals. Current trend, we're looking like bullish. So we can pressure test some of these against our own subject matter expertise and then go back and forth with agent in order to, add features to this V1. It typically gives us a URL that it thinks would be a good Replit one. So we can always change this. We can just say Apple, I don't know, finance, finance, for example. So if the URL is available, it'll say available here. If it's not, then it'll say unavailable. You can publish these publicly so that anybody could actually have the URL to this, or you can make it password protected or invite only so that you are basically making this as a private application that only you are doing. So work for 14 minutes, cost about $5 to do, and then we can make modifications and changes to this as we want, right? So hopefully that's a good like overview of the Replit platform and what it can do. I'm gonna spend maybe the next couple of minutes just maybe answering questions. I can finish out this slide deck, which is um, maybe the biggest elephant in the room, that all the jobs, I think, from here on out are going to change. And these skills of being able to integrate tools together, Replit to Notion to Dropbox to Drive, people are going to expect college graduates to be able to do these kinds of workflows. They're going to expect you to be able to essentially have multiple projects running in parallel and for you to be able to manage multiple things at a time. And then in the interview process itself, I think they're going to want to see examples of your work that look a lot like the Replit gallery, right? So you'll be able to say to an interviewer, like, hey, here's my portfolio of built applications, and here's some of the business challenges that I built towards. Here's some of the things that I was actually able to accomplish as I went to market with it. So I know as I hired out my own team, these are the kinds of things that we're screening for, we're asking for. So to the extent that you can build projects in this direction, feel free to do that, and I think you'll be successful moving forward. All right, let me check the chat one last time. I know we've got about 7 or 8 more minutes here. Any other questions? You got Dan asking, what is my perspective of AI adoption into a corporation? Will we need to have 2 to 3 agents to make our job easier? I definitely have way more than 2 to 3 agents that I'm using on a daily basis. I'll show you another Replit site, which is /customers. These are many of our customers that are doing quite phenomenal things in terms of using our Replit agent and using our ability to give people who are not technical the ability to build for themselves. And you see some of the stats here. You see that we've got collections of stories from people across all different like areas of business, from healthcare to fintech to life sciences to operations companies and real estate. So I definitely have multiple apps and multiple agents running for me at all times. I'm a big user of Slack, a big user of all the Google tools, and that's part of the tech stack that we run here. Big user of Notion. That's part of our tech stack that we run here at Replit. So yes, please be comfortable with running multiple agents like all the time and trying to figure out how to do that cost efficiently and cost effectively. But I encourage you to click into some of these stories and like hear how some of our customers are actually using Replit in new ways that are innovative here. Um, if you're asking yourself, like, what can I do to actually get started? I put together a starter kit of sorts, and I'm happy to have the team share this link out. I'll throw this into the chat as well. But in my teaching over the last several years, AI ML starter kit, in my teaching, I found that it's too hard for any one person to kind of wrap their arms around all of this stuff that's happening. So I basically just started to bookmark, different researchers who are kind of writing pretty regularly about different things that are impacting how people learn and how people work. So feel free to use this sheet as a place to find good reads, a place to find good things to listen to in terms of podcasts. Um, I'd say even like the lecture slides that I've taught from previously, you can literally click into these, and I've open sourced these slides so that people can just like walk through and take a look. How many slides? There's 76 slides in this one. So each of them are between like 60 and 80 slides. So hundreds of slides for you all to go through, just as kind of my gift to you. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to our email is education@replit.com. And if you meet anybody that says that they have it all together or they've got it all figured out, just run in the other direction, because it's literally impossible to keep your arms around all these things that are happening. Um, deep learning AI. This is where I gave my Andrew Ng talk a couple weeks ago. If you were to search like Brandon Middleton deep learning, the long form talk that I gave about AI literacy and vibe coding is here on their page. But yeah, hopefully with the last couple of minutes, you guys ask a few more questions, and we're always here to support the cool work that you all are doing. And again, really hope that at some point you send us some cool REPL links that we can feature in the gallery. We've got faculty fellows, monthly webinars that are happening every month, in addition to student live streams and student showcases that we're going to be doing all throughout the summer and into the fall as well. So I'll pause there. I'll say thank you so much for the time and attention today. And Kathy, I'll pop it over to you maybe for the
Thank
last few
you so much,
minutes.
Brandon. Yeah, where's my clapping hands? They're over here. Um, the thank you so much for all of this. We have a Discord and we have an event chat channel. So folks have been copying all these great resources into the event chat channel, so they'll persist there for people too. So if for example, this AI ML starter kit looks amazing, and it's super helpful to have these kind of resources collected up because there's so much available right now on all these topics, and having some curated resources is so great. So thanks for that. Does anybody have a last question or two for Brandon? You can either come off mute and just ask your question or add it to the chat. No? Okay. Well, thanks again, Brandon, for all your advice, and for all these resources. And yes, a big thank you. Thank you. Yeah, a big thank you from all of us. And definitely feel free, everybody who's here, everybody who's watching, to keep in touch with Brandon about the ways that you're using these resources. And you mentioned all those different kinds of ways people can stay in touch. I think as people build and have some progress, it'll be really fun to get back to you and show you what's everybody's been doing.
Yeah, yeah. Please find me on LinkedIn. Not too hard, Brandon Middleton, and on Instagram, or pick your social media platform of choice. Totally open to experiment and try new things again, because none of this stuff is kind of codified and like been solved yet. So my team is always trying like new things, and if it sticks, then we keep going. We pour more gasoline on it, and if it doesn't stick, then we'll pivot away from it and try a new experiment. So.
Yeah, exactly. We've been talking about ways that people can give, and sometimes when people are getting started with their career in a new area, they're like, "Well, what do I have to give?" And one of the things that you do have is your feedback, especially about stuff that's helpful. And so as people go through these resources and they shout out back to you to say, "This really worked for me. This was really helpful," or like, "I couldn't find this," that feedback that everybody has is super valuable to help continue to shape the materials too. So that's something everybody here can give us some thanks when they use this great stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
See
gonna leave it
Dan.
there.
I
Yeah.
see Dan popped in. Do you have a question for us? I have no questions for the group here, but I would like ask that you kind of share the work that you've heard about and the work that we're doing. One of the hardest things is to let people know that there are people who care a lot about this stuff and are like trying experiments. So if any of you are influential across the internet, it's really helpful to find new collaborators and find new people. So if you can help me and my team do that, that'd be the only ask that I have of this group. But other than that, again, thank you so much for the time and attention today, and looking forward to a bright future. I keep these
All
sunglasses on. It's gonna be bright.
right. Thanks again, Brandon. Well,
All
all
right.
right.
Thanks so much, everyone.